Chapter 6. The claim that those encountering Jesus said that he was God. Chapter Introduction. One element of proof that Jesus is God is found in the assertion that various characters who lived at the time of Jesus' ministry said that he was God. In this chapter, we shall consider the more prominent of these arguments, so as to demonstrate that such persons did not, in fact, say or believe that Jesus was God. Quote, Thomas said unto him, My Lord and my God. John 20:28. Background. The 20th chapter of the book of John recounts the appearance of the resurrected Jesus to his followers, verses 14, 19, etc. Jesus proved that it was he himself, and that he had indeed risen, by showing them the wounds in his side and his hands, verse 20. At no time was there a discussion among these followers of whether or not Jesus was God. The sole question was whether or not he had risen from the grave. In fact, Jesus told them that he would soon ascend to, quote, my God and your God, John 20:17, making clear that he himself was not God. Thomas was not among those first visited by the risen Christ. When they later reported to Thomas that Jesus had risen, not that he was God, Thomas said that he would, quote, not believe unless he could see the wounds for himself, verse 25. This is why he has come to be known as Doubting Thomas. 8 days later, Jesus reappeared to his followers. This time, Thomas was among them. Verse 26. Jesus invited Thomas to touch his wounds in order to satisfy himself that it was really him, after which the astonished Thomas exclaimed, quote, my Lord and my God, verse 28. Jesus answered that Thomas now believed, the question being, had he risen, because he had seen him, and that those who believed even though they had not seen him were blessed. Verse 29. Trinitarianism asserts that Thomas was declaring Jesus to be God, that this was the belief of which he and Jesus spoke. Non-Trinitarianism rejects this interpretation and asserts that Thomas had simply made an astonished exclamation when realizing that Jesus had risen from death, that Jesus' rising from death was the belief of which he and Jesus spoke. Article Overview. This article will consider facts which militate against the idea that Thomas declared Jesus to be God, such as 1. The fact that Jesus told those unto whom he appeared that he was going to his God and their God. 2. The fact that Thomas, having seen that Jesus had resurrected, would not have led him to conclude that Jesus was God. 3. The fact that no one else ever addressed Jesus as God or my God. 4. The fact that those around Jesus did not think that he was God. 5. The fact that the angel Gabriel did not think that Jesus was God. 6. The fact that the writers of the New Testament did not think that Jesus was God. And 7. The fact that Jesus did not think that he was God. This article will establish that Thomas was not identifying Jesus as God, but rather uttering an exclamation of astonishment upon realizing that Jesus had risen from death. Quote, I ascend to my God and your God. Quote, go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. John 20:17. Quote, the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. Ephesians 1:3. Quote, the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the glorious Father. Ephesians 1:17. Quote, and Messiah shall stand in the name of his God. Micah 5:4 ASV. Quote, my Lord and my God must be balanced by the words of the risen Christ himself. I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and my God and your God. The Divinity of Jesus Christ, J.M. Creed, Professor of Divinity at the University of Cambridge, page 123. Jesus said that the Father was both his God and Thomas's God. For Thomas, to say that Jesus was also his God would be for Thomas to say that he had two gods, one of whom was God to and over the other. How could Thomas see that Jesus was God? Jesus said that Thomas believed because he had, quote, seen. Seen what? That Jesus was God? How could seeing the resurrected Christ lead to the conclusion that he was God? Again, the question was, is he risen? Not, is he God? Seeing Jesus did not prove that he was God. It proved that he had risen from the grave. This was the question at hand, and this is what Thomas, having seen Jesus for himself, quote, believed. No one ever said to Jesus, quote, thou art my God. In the Old Testament, God instructed people to say to him, quote, thou art my God. Quote, they shall say, thou art my God. Hosea 2:23. Quote, he shall cry unto me, thou art my God. Psalm 89:26. And people frequently did so. Quote, I said unto the Lord, thou art my God. Psalm 146. Quote, O Lord, thou art my God. Isaiah 25:1. Quote, thou art the Lord my God. Jeremiah 31:18. See also Psalms 22:10, 31:14, 63:1, 86:2, 118:28, 143:10, etc. Why would Thomas be the only person to call Jesus my God? Did he alone possess this knowledge? And if others possessed it, then why would they not have also addressed Jesus as my God? No one in the New Testament ever said to Jesus, you are my God, nor, with the questionable exception of Thomas, did anyone ever directly address him with the title God at all. If they believed Jesus to be God, is it not reasonable to expect that they would have said to him, you are my God, just as God had commanded and as people had done in the Old Testament? The people did not think that Jesus was God. Quote, we believe that thou comest forth from God. John 17:30. Quote, God is with you. John 3:2. Quote, they said Jesus was a prophet before God. Luke 24:19. Quote, he trusted in God, saying, I am the Son of God. Matthew 27:43. Quote, if he be the chosen of God, Luke 23:35. Quote, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee, said to Jesus, John 11:22. Those around Jesus made it clear that they believed that he and God were two different beings.